Now, in response to the recent devastating fire that broke down in Walvis Bay last weekend, the Tukwatha Youth Organisation, known for its commitment to community development and social upliftment, is swiftly mobilizing resources to support those affected by the recent devastating fire in Walvis Bay. Now, through this initiative, Tukwatha Youth Organisation aims to provide essential supplies, including food, clothing and shelter, ensuring that those impacted by the tragedy can begin rebuilding their lives with dignity and hope. We now speak to Emma Muteka, who is the Secretary General for Tukwatha Youth Organisation. More on the initiative. Emma, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for making time to join us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Perhaps before we get into the whole conversation, just talk to us about Tukwatha Youth Organisation.
All right. So Tukwatha Youth Organisation is, as it says, a youth organisation that was well established in 2022. Started with nothing, basically, like everything else in this life of ours. Basically, this organisation aims to, address issues that affect not only the youth, but generally, every aspect of this life. But our priority is that of the youth. For the longest time, the youth has been asking for a place at the table. I think we just took the approach of saying, if not ourselves, then who? So we needed to start the process. So basically, this is what we do in assisting any issue that we possibly feel we can handle. We wouldn't want to say every issue because that is obviously impossible. But like I said, we want to prioritize addressing issues pertaining to the youth, development, any way to find ourselves to uplift and to try and assist, possibly.
All right.
Yes.
2022 is just now.
Yes.
How has the journey been so far?
Wow. The first word that I'll say is wow. It has. We have hit a lot of turning curves. We've had successes and failures, as it should be, generally how life is. But overall, one would really want to say we've had grace extended to us. We've had grace extended to us, and we're basically nothing without our volunteers. I always say the foundation of Tukwatha is that has been built by our volunteers, because we have a number of young people who volunteer at any time. With this crisis that has, just you don't basically plan for such things, and you just say, guys, who's available, and they just stand up and they come out and they do what they have to do. Very, very young men, very, very young women. Just a few days ago, I was telling the ladies to say, we were busy carrying out physically heavy stuff, and there was no guy. There were just ladies, and I'm talking about 20-something-year-olds that were carrying 25 kgs of stuff, and I was just impressed. In fact, I was actually telling the president, I'm naturally not an emotional person, but I had my tears. My tears were there, and I was like, I'm so proud of you. So yes, this is where we are. We've come a long way, a long, long way, really. And also the various stakeholders who, come on board. There are also various individuals who really don't mind you calling them at 4 o'clock in the morning. They'll always answer our calls and run around and assist us to source for resources.
Amazing.
Yes.
Now, earlier on, I spoke about the tragedy that took place in Walvis Bay, where about 100 people have been affected by this fire. But what inspired Tukwatha Youth Organisation to actually get involved when it comes to raising donations for the fire victims?
I think for us, it's not necessarily what inspired us. It's natural for us to deal with issues such of this nature. So when we heard the news, I think we got this news early morning on Saturday, and by the end of the day of Saturday, we already started a campaign to say, guys, we need to start moving. Our approach is that of first aid. I mean, if you look at what a Band-Aid does, that's basically how we identify ourselves, to say, look, we understand that this is a crisis and this is something major. And there are systems and processes that need to be followed, especially from the government side. While they're getting that in order, let's see what we can do, and let's start the process and assist. Because this could be anybody's mother, this could be anybody's father or sibling. So we felt, let's do the right thing, and we did it.
I mean, it's just been a couple of days
Yes.
since the fire broke out, but
Yes.
how has the response been from the local communities as well as the stakeholders?
Overwhelmingly beautiful. We couldn't, we just, I'm still stuttering out of complete amazement. We were able to raise about 14,000 in a day.
That is a lot of money.
And get quite a lot of donations in terms of clothing material. And you won't believe this, I'm sitting right in front of you, but I was in Walvis yesterday to deliver the items.
Oh, wow.
So yes, this is what we did. We felt we handed over, or we needed to hand over these items to the Office of the Governor, which is what we did. There's quite a list of items that we were able to you know, source from these few resources that we were able to sort out. But this doesn't mean it's the end. We just felt, let's start with the necessities. I mean, you can't go a day without food. You can't go a day without sanitary pads as well, one of the things that we identified. So we felt, let's hand over this, and as more stuff keep coming in, we'll just keep sending them to Walvis Bay.
I mean, you mentioned that you were in Walvis Bay. Did you go
Yes.
to the site and
No.
see the...
Unfortunately not. We did end in Swakopmund, where the governor's office is based. We would have loved to go there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are certain stuff that we needed to, you know, follow, and we didn't really want to get there and sort of create some sort of hope to say that we came to deal with or to rather eradicate the whole situation. This is a very fragile moment, and one wouldn't want to, you know, get involved to say, guys, we're here to be the alpha and the omega, because we are not.
Yeah.
So we did the little that we could strategically and handed it over to the correct people to do the handing over officially on our behalf.
Amazing.
Yes.
Now, for those of our viewers who are watching right now and perhaps want to come through with some of the donations, what are some of the items that Tukwatha is looking forward to the public donating to them?
All right, so we don't necessarily have any limit. Perhaps the only one that I would want to say is if you would want to donate food items, let them be, you know, non-perishable goods, you know, the tinned food. But other than that, really, there's no limit. We're looking for clothes, we're looking for, like I said, non-perishable goods, financial, you know, resources as well. Anything, basically, that you feel could assist. Just 2 days ago, I was, you know, just speaking to a colleague and saying, look, it would be so cool if somebody just says, I have a donation of a, you know, a zinc sheet, for example,
Yeah.
or some poles or whatever the case may be. Because I think it's something that we also overlook to say we have fire, you know, victims. Yes, we're giving them food, yes, we're giving them clothes, but we're not looking at the shelter. So if somebody could just come out and say, here's a bag of cement or whatever, we're good to go.
All right.
Yes.
Now, it's a big country,
Yes.
you know, 14 regions.
Yes.
Where exactly can our viewers get a hold of Tukwatha?
All right, so ideally, Tukwatha has got representatives in all 14 regions, and we have systems in place to assist anybody that's within that region. So perhaps what we are currently doing now is sharing the contact details for the regional leadership. You can buzz them and say, look, I have something. If it needs to be picked up, we'll try to arrange. But if you're able to reach out to them and say, look, I want to drop something, you're more than welcome to do so.
All right.
Yes.
Emma, before we let you go, what message would you like to share with our viewers this morning, and also perhaps some of the victims of the fire?
Yeah. To start with, you know, with the victims is to say it's really not your fault, and to not give up hope. I can never say I know what you're going through. I'd be lying, because even if I did experience something that's similar, it's not the same. But to just really tell them to keep their heads up, and that we're in this together. We are with them, probably not physically, but we really are trying our level best to assist them as far as possible. Not only to Tukwatha Youth Organisation, but there are so many individuals and organizations and the government itself that are trying their level best to come to their aid. And to anybody else, really it's to say, as Namibians, we need to start looking at issues as a national issue. It's not to say this is somebody's or a certain individual or a certain organization or a certain office's issue. Let's hold hands. We are the land of the brave, and this is what we do. Let's extend. Today, it's Walvis Bay. Tomorrow, it could be Windhoek. It could be anywhere else. So let's go out there. It's not necessarily an issue that you know, would be single-handedly focusing on one person. And I really just want to motivate the Namibians to say, we have this tendency of saying, I have very little, what can I give? That very little could save somebody's life. The little could even be just, a small item, could be a baby's clothes that you have, could be $10. To you, it's very little, but I promise you it means a lot to our victims. Yes.
All right. And how can they reach out to Tukwatha?
Yes, we'll share the contact details, like I said. Currently now we have a social media running with, the contact details. However, I could give the cell phone number where they could contact us. It would be 081 487 4824.
Right.
I'll repeat that. It's 081 487 4824.
All right.
Yes.
Well, Emma, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We love the work that you're doing
Thank you.
For the community, and all the best with your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
All right. Good morning, Namibia continues shortly after this. Don't go anywhere.